In this video, I'll be showing you how to create these striking, very simple Martian or Red Earth style bases for your miniatures. Let's get into it. Start off by priming your base. Any colour will work. I happen to be using grey, and then I am using Rhinox hide or a dark brown paint of your choice, and just literally put a good coat of the dark brown over the whole base. This is going to help the texture paint adhere properly to the base, and then should any of the cracks appear, you're not going to see grey or black or white through the base. So you do want a sort of nice dark brown colour. Let's let that dry and we'll come back to it. Next up, I have been attaching some pieces of cork to use as rocks, obviously working out where your model is going to stand before you place any rocks. And they are simply pieces of cork that have been attached to the base using some thick super glue. So work out where any rocks are going to be and then glue them on, and then we'll move on to the next step. Next up, we will be applying Martian Iron Crust using the little spatula tool from Games Workshop. We will be applying this all over the base and working around the rocks. So covering the last little bit of the base here. So using your applicator tool, push it around all of the rocks, get everything with a good solid coat of this stuff. Push it around. Doing it this way makes the rocks look a little bit more like they are actually there, not just stuck on top, which is why I like to put the rocks on first before any form of texture paint. Get this reasonably, don't need it super smooth, you want a little bit of texture to make it look a bit more realistic. Get everything covered. Try and not get too much of it down the side of the base. If you get any down the side of it or the edge of the base, you can sand it off with like a sanding stick or some a file or something afterwards. So get a really good coat on that, and then now we will say leave that for around probably 24 hours. Needs a good time to dry and do its thing. When it will crack in some places where it's thicker, and you'll get a really nice finish. If you just leave it to dry naturally, do not try and speed it up with a hairdryer. It doesn't usually work. So 24 hours and we'll come back to it. Now that this is completely dry, we are going to dry brush the texture paint using Squid Orange, then followed by Jacaro Orange, and finishing up with Fire Dragon Bright. Don't worry about the rocks for the minute. We will come back and catch those once we've done all this orange dry brushing. So quick dry brush over the all of the texture paint. Pick out obviously any raised areas. Squig Orange is first, and then we will do Jacaro Orange and then Fire Dragon Bright. So let's just run through these dry brushes quite quickly. Very quick, very simple. Move on to the next. Next up, Jacaro Orange. Again, just really quick, just over the whole thing. Just catch all the edges. Don't have to be super precise with this. You kind of want it to be a little bit patchy in places and maybe heavier in others, lighter in other spots of the base. As you are looking for a sort of, you're not looking for a uniform coloration, because obviously in theory Earth and nature would be all different colours anyway. And then last up will be Fire Dragon Bright. So just finishing off the Fire Dragon Bright, this will bring up a really nice bright orange tone to any of the raised areas. So very quick, very simple, and then we will move on to the rocks. So Squig Orange, Jacaro Orange, and then, as I said, finally Fire Dragon Bright, just to finish it off, bring it up to that, as I said, really nice bright orange tone. And that is it for now. For the base coating of the rocks, I am using a Skaven Blight Dinge. It's a nice dark grey that has a little tint of brown in, so it makes quite a nice base colour for any rocks. Thin it out a little bit, help it gets in all the places. So you may need 2 good coats. Obviously cork is quite absorbent, so it will suck some of the paint in. So 2 coats over all of the rocks. We'll come back to those when they've had 2 coats. But yeah, Skaven Blight Dinge for your base coat on the rocks. Okay, now the 2 coats of Skaven Blight Dinge have dried on the rocks. Using a small dry brush, we are very gently going to dry brush some Storm Vermin Fur, and then followed by a very small, very light dry brush of Ulthrin Grey. So starting off with a very light dry brush of Storm Vermin Fur. Just try and get it on, obviously, just the rocks. Don't worry about the orange. Try and not dry brush the orange that you put on. You can, using the next steps, clean it up afterwards. However, you can try and be as neat as possible now. It's less work to do. Now, bear in mind, obviously, with these rocks as well, if you are doing a squad or an army, try and keep the bases all different. So maybe one rock on one, two on another. Maybe do some bases that don't have any rocks at all. Just make it look as sort of natural as possible. So mix it up across your army or the squad that you're doing. It just sort of makes them look like they are actually in the setting that you are trying to make them look in. With the Ulthuan Grey, try and be very gentle and just hit top edges. You want to sort of just put a highlight on the rocks, but you don't want to go too over the top. If not, they end up with a very, very pale looking rock. You just want to pick out the sharper edges. Very quick. That is pretty much it. Right, on to the next step. So the final stage on this base is to add the orange dust level on top of the base, just to add sort of that dusty, Martian, deserty effect. I am using, I'm just happen to be using a weathering powder, an old one that I found. Any sort of rust or bright orange pigment powder will work. There's loads of companies out there doing pigment powders. They're very easy to get hold of and very simple to use. I'm just using an old, not a particularly good brush, putting it into the pigment powder and then knock off a tiny bit of excess, and then just using the brush, just push the pigment powder around. So not all the way to the edges. I kind of want just the middle looking bright. Don't forget to put some on around the rocks so it looks like the dust has settled on the rocks. Very simple, very quick and easy to do. Just dab some pigment powder on there. You don't need to fix it, it will stay there. But just then afterwards, try and have something to catch any mess, because they can be a bit messy, pigment powders. And then just sort of blow off any excess. And that's it. That is the base done. Obviously then super glue your model onto the base. It might also be quite a nice idea, once you've glued the model to the base, to put some of the pigment dust on the feet of the model. It just makes them look like they are actually in that environment. So put some of the dust on their feet. You can go as high up or as low up as you want. As I said, it's up to you. It just makes them look like they're in the environment, like they have been walking through the dust and it's collected up. The vines are very quick and simple and easy to do as well. They are vine moss from Rival Crafts, the preserved foliage. I like these because they've got a sort of dead desert style about them. So very quick, very simple. Again, just cut some little bits off and glue those on. We'll do those next, but you could leave this exactly like this. As I said, skulls, if you want to add skulls or any other bits and pieces. That's the main base of the base done, and then you can sort of modify and tweak it to your requirements. To attach the vine moss, simply just take some small sections and some PVA glue, and then just, as I said, attach where necessary. You can build up as much of this as you'd like, or as I said, smaller bits, larger bits. It is very much up to you. You can put as much on or as little on as you want, and you can sort of curve it around the outside of the base, over the rocks, as I said, through skulls, etc. So please obviously remember where your model is going to stand on the base, and then work it out from there. But as I said, put as much on or as little on as you want. Then all you have to do, paint the base edge. As I said, go back and maybe add some pigment dust onto the bottom of the feet of your model, or legs, or whatever is going on the base. And that's it. That's my very quick, very simple sort of Martian desert barren area basing. Very simple. As I said, if you like the video, please subscribe for more. If you want to check out the Twitch live streams, there is a link in my bio. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.